In this lesson, you will define and create new roles, assign them permissions, and then create users in those new roles. Finally, we will log in with these new users and see how the web application behaves for these new roles. As you can guess, this is a very important lesson. We will build a rudimentary workflow using roles and permissions in Drupal. First, traverse to the people page on the admin menu and then open this roles tab. I will create two new roles. First is this blog contributor. As the name suggests, this role will allow creation of new articles and pretty much nothing else. And then the next role will be blog editor. And this role will have a few more permissions. In real life scenarios, you might have several blog creators and one or two editors who will edit, fine tune articles and oversee everything. We will create this type of a workflow. Now go over to the permissions tab. And there are a few things for you to carefully observe on this page. First, the two new roles are showing up on the listing correctly. This page is a long listing of all the permissions on your Drupal application. They have been organized into sections, and inside each section are granular permissions. Then you can observe checkboxes for each role mapping to each permission. Presence of a check means that particular permission has been granted, else absence means permission is not granted. Also observe that the administrator role has got all the permissions granted. And you can also see that the boxes are grayed out, meaning you cannot modify those permissions. I had earlier mentioned that all roles will be inherited from this authenticated user role. And now you can see that this is exactly true. Every permission that the authenticated user has, exact same will be inherited by all new roles as well. And in fact, these inherited permissions will appear grayed out to drive home the fact that these permissions are in fact inherited from the authenticated user role. You can double verify this by unchecking a permission from the authenticated user, and it will automatically get removed for the other roles as well. Of course, this anonymous user is the exception for all of this because no account will ever be created for that role explicitly. If this point is not clear, please revisit earlier lesson on roles. Okay, so I will now scroll down to the node section. Remember that almost all content are nodes on Drupal. So we will find the article content type here in this section. Just also remember that our blog posts are actually articles. So article permissions are what are relevant to us for this lesson now. For this blog contributor, I will give a single additional permission, that of article create new content. And for the blog editor, I'm going to give all of the article related permissions. Okay, that's it. These are for basic page, so I'm not going to touch that for now. When you are done, scroll down and finally save the page. Okay, roles have been created and permissions set successfully at this stage, but no users have yet been mapped to these roles. To keep this lesson short, I have already created two new users. You can see them from the listings page. I have named them such that it will be easy to identify their roles. I will map them to roles directly from this page, and you can see the convenience of this action drop-down. First, select this Tom contributor, and from the drop-down, apply the choice, add the blog contributor role. Apply. Tom contributor has become role blog contributor. Exactly similar for Jenny editor. apply the editor role, and you can see the roles have been updated accordingly. Now I will log in with a different browser and we will see the effect of what these roles have brought us. I want to show the simple workflow that we have created. A blog contributor role will create blogs and an editor will have permissions to be able to edit it, delete it, otherwise manage blog posts. First, I'm going to log in as Tom contributor. The first point for you to notice is that this role does not get an admin menu on the top that you will be very familiar with by now. In fact, the only control available for this role is this tools block, and it has a single link called as add content. And when I click the add content link, I am directly led to the create article page. I did not get the listings page as the admin would have gotten. This role does not have any permissions to create any other content type like the basic page. Now I am going to quickly create a blog post. Tom's new blog post is the title name, and I have saved it. Okay, so this role was able to create a new article successfully. And when I return to the home page, you can see the new post has entered the front page successfully. This role is so limited that they cannot even edit their own post. You can see here that there is no editing option for this contributor role. In real life, you probably will want to allow this. And here, I just want to demo a very constricted role. Okay, now I will log out and I'm going to enter again with the editor's role. For this role also, there is no admin menu. However, this role can manage the article content for this site. Let's see how that works. Click the newly created blog post and voila, now we can see this edit option and the delete option also. Just to demonstrate this, I am going to edit the title and save the page. In this role, I can also manage the revisions. I can revert back if required to earlier versions and so on. So with that, you have seen a simple workflow in action. You saw how a blog contributor role can create blogs and how an editor can edit blog content all over the site and manage blog content. And all of this was achieved only using the features of Drupal core. There are some limitations to this basic workflow which I will mention now, and also how to correctly overcome these limitations. Firstly, with the blog contributor role, I would have preferred if the articles were not published directly onto the site. It would have been better if they were only saved and not published first. After the editor reviewed the article, the editor can publish it. This is not a must-have feature, but it is a nice-to-have feature. This functionality with the node-specific publishing can only be achieved with an external module on Drupal core. It is not a part of the core functionality. However, note that this we are seeking for is perfectly possible for an admin role. If you want a granular publishing control, you must extend your installation with a free third-party module. This is again from the philosophy of Drupal core, which you are slowly getting familiar with. There is yet another limitation with the permissions page. Let me open that. This page is not very user friendly. If you have a few more roles, this line is going to get much bigger. The permissions themselves are not very easy to understand for a new user. The descriptions are not perfect. Sometimes what you think a permission means will not be the case. This unfortunately is a result of the long evolution of the Drupal project with thousands of developers. And this is also a common trait with open source projects. But worry not, there is a lot of documentation in several forums and several other resources. Long story short, when building workflows with permissions, do not take anything for granted. However, it's quite powerful. I'm sure that you will find a way to do what you want to do. but you have to thoroughly test things out. After we complete the lessons on external modules later in this course, you will be able to leverage many modules which will make this page a lot easier to understand and manage. With that, I will end this lesson. See you in the next.